Welcome to the football show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. I'm absolutely delighted that on this Thursday, our guests Alan Rough and Gordon Smith here to talk European football and then the big look ahead to the Premiership season starting once again. It's hard to believe the summer almost over for all of us here. We're delighted you could join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and over Monday to Friday. Hopefully you'll stick with us, tell your mates and join in the fun with us, interacting, give us your opinion on Scottish football. We'll talk about the 3 Europa League ties in a moment, but first, Celtic in the end, Ruffy, 0-0 against Rosenborg. It wasn't a game full of great adventure, certainly not full of great incident either. In the end, they got the job done.
Yeah, I think it just showed you how important that third goal was at Parkhead. You know, if it went there 2-1 and the game panned out as it did last night, it would have been quite a nervy night. You know, they did have a couple of chances, but they weren't good enough to take them. You know, it's a job done. You know, obviously Celtic will come up against better opposition, and I know he's saying, yeah, we've got players to come back, but again, that's players that are coming back that failed last year, you know, big time at the end. You know, so I'm sure the supporters out there, I know Brendan Rodgers keeps playing it down, but I think in the back of his mind he'll want a couple of players in, you know, really, particularly in midfield. I think the Forrest, McGregor, Sinclair midfield doesn't really, you know, excite you, you know, if you're getting to play against better sides. You know, we know they're good players and we know what they can do, but with Brendan Rodgers saying they're weaker than what they were last year, that's a worry.
Yeah, well, just picking up on that point, Brendan Rodgers speaking today ahead of obviously the start of the Premiership. The champions will take on Livingston, but he did talk about potential new faces coming into Celtic. It'll be quality rather than quantity.
I think every manager and coach will always look and think they will always need more. But like I say, I want it for the supporters, I want it for the squad, but I want quality. And that's what we want. So yeah, I'd be very disappointed come the end of August if we weren't stronger as a squad. But I'm happy with where we're at this point in time, because, like I say, essentially I have to work with the players that are here and try and get over what is a real treacherous period in relation to games and everything that comes around these qualifications. So we've got a good squad here for that, but we always want to improve and strengthen, and that's something that we would certainly want to do.
Yeah, well, it might be a treacherous period for Celtic, but Celtic, quite simply, if you look back over the campaigns before, always take the gamble on each hurdle before they eventually make signings, Gordon.
Well, absolutely. I mean, they've signed the least players of any of the Premier League clubs. I was checking it up today, and I think you know, Hearts are top with 12, but Celtic are lowest with 2. And you know, you thought they might have brought in players. They are trying to get them again. Ruffy, I would disagree slightly with Ruffy that I think midfield's a strong area. I think defensively it's where they really need to strengthen. I think they're okay when obviously when Dembele's back fit again. They've got 3 top strikers. I think that Celtic would want to play the 3-5-2 system, and when you play that system, then you've got 2 wing backs. You then only need the 3 midfield players, and Scott Brown's one of them, obviously, but Nicham, McGregor, Rogic still to come in. They have lost Armstrong, to be fair, but they probably need 1 player in the midfield. Yeah. But I think then that allows them to play 2 strikers. So I think the Celtic are strong in that base, and I think they'll go down the route of, if they can get the strong centre-back people in, they'll go with 3 at the back.
Well, it's funny saying that. In a way, I'm going to agree half with Ruffy, half with yourself. I think the back line, I think they need a defender. It's a stonewall certainty. I do think as they go up in calibre of opposition, though, I do think they still need that quality number 10. I mean, everybody talks about Rogic, talks about, you know, Nicham and how he's come on, but I just think that there's a player missing, Ruffy, that can, you know, unlock very tight defences in games that are really close when you're playing a higher class of opposition, when you're trying to get from the knockout round or possibly from group stages to knockout again.
Yeah, I agree with Gordon. I know where he's coming from. If they did play that formation, the 3 at the back and the 5, yeah, but he tends to go with Sham and Brown sitting, you know, with 3 in front of them, you know, and I know we saw the quality at the World Cup. And if you look at the games, the midfield was where all the quality was, you know, real quality. And they were the guys that you're talking about were opening up defences. I know they're way out of Celtic's wage, but That's the kind of guy they need to find. And there must be somebody out there that can come in a European level and do that thing.
Yeah, well, Celtic getting ready for the next match on the horizon. It's not AEK Athens, it's Livingston at the weekend. Here's a quick update on the players that Brendan Rodgers has available to him.
Lee Griffiths will obviously be back in the squad, and Jozo Simonovic will be available again. So that's two players that's important for us. Then they'll add to the squad that was already in Rosenborg.
Yeah, well, he's got players coming back, which will be key to him. Just on the point of adding players, we caught up with former Celtic striker Scott McDonald. He clearly thinks that if he's going to add players, it's going to have to be somebody that's of top draw to have any hope of getting into the side to face AEK Athens.
It was a disappointing sort of performance from Celtic, but enough to get through, and that's all you ask very early on in the season. But again, AEK will be a stiffer test for them. They'll have a lot more quality, especially in forward areas. I think Rosenborg have really lacked, that goal threat against Celtic over the two ties itself, albeit they scored a good goal. But, if you look at their campaign thus far in Norway, it's not been great, scoring goals. So I think AEK will pose a bigger threat. And, big questions are asked now on Brendan Rodgers, in terms of personnel-wise for the next two ties. Who does he bring back in? Is Dembele going to be fit? Is Griffiths going to be fit? Simunovic back from suspension. Does he keep the two young boys together? And obviously Dedrick Boyata, does he come back? And we've also, seen that Lustig's back on the bench. So he's got a few decisions to make, hasn't he? And I would imagine, he'd want to get his strongest 11 out there, as quickly as he can to play against AEK.
Yeah, I'm not so sure anybody that he did sign before the next leg of the Champions League, Gordon, would actually roll straight into the team anyway.
No, I don't think so, because I'll tell you why. Because even looking at players, it's very, very difficult to find players that Celtic can afford to pay. You can't get them out of England anymore from the top level, because they're earning so much money that it's well above what Scottish teams can play, even Celtic with the sort of money they have got. So I think that, I'll be honest, I think the midfield is a strong area. I think young McGregor could be a terrific player. I think he's been a great player for them, and I think he's coming on really well, and I think that he's still getting underrated to a certain degree. I think he is the number 10 player that Celtic do require.
You think McGregor's a number 10?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I do. Okay. I think he's got a lot to offer. I think he can open defences up without doubt.
The big question for me is, obviously, he said Simonovic and Boyata's going to come back, and I know he talked up the two young boys, and quite rightly, that's what you've got to do. But it'd be interesting if Boyata and Simonovic were fit. Would they be the two? And would they two youngians stand aside and let them in?
Yeah.
But he still might play three, though. That's the thing. I think 3 is the way forward from, because that allows them then to play the two strikers.
I think on the evidence of some of the early friendlies as well, he looks as if he's going to play two up front. If Odsonne and Edouard and Dembele, I beg your pardon, get the partnership together that they were showing early on, then it could be the 3-5-2.
Definitely, I think it's a real lethal partnership as well. I think. Judging the two of them, I think Edouard's better than Dembele. But Dembele has had a great record for Celtic. But if you've got the two of them, you can imagine the problems that's going to cause defences to try and stop those two. And when you've got other players, creative players like Rogic, McGregor coming through, and the Cham's good, you might throw in like Sir Forrest, Sinclair in wide areas at times. Celtic are strong going forward.
Yeah, OK, there are 3 games that I want to talk about in the Europa League. Gordon, Euro Club Rangers have a 1-0 advantage from the first leg. Ibrox should be absolutely bouncing tonight.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think it's a sell-out game. And I think the main thing about it is that Rangers, the one thing you look at the moment, there's still problems there. There's still strengthening needing done. I think that Steven Gerrard's working hard on it. But the fact is, the stronger element of what's happened so far is the fact that defensively, it's worked out really well so far. They haven't lost a goal in any of the matches they've played so far this season, and getting a 1-0 win away from home was a terrific start for the first leg, and I think Rangers should go through tonight. Yeah,
I think slowly but surely he's getting them organised. Although if you listen to the Rangers manager, he said, he'd like 4 or 5, but he needs to ship some people out. This transformation, from all the hullabaloo over the players that were apparently good last year that we all mentioned on this programme, Ruffy, just were not up to the standard that Rangers were looking for. This new manager, slowly but surely, is just quickly, getting them out as quickly as he can.
Yeah, I think before he got the job, he's listened to everybody of what Rangers were last year, and people are saying, "Oh, he's not good enough. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think." But now he's seen it with his own eyes. He's had enough games now to look at the players individually, and that's what he's doing. He's looking at them and saying, "I think I can get better than you." Obviously, again, they're not spending a lot of money. It's a lot of loans coming in, which I always have a wee worry if you have too many loan players. You don't know how long they're going to be there. Oh, obviously, you do know because when you get them, but yeah, they're going to leave.
Yeah,
no, they're going to leave. So what
is your fixation? Why do you not like loan players? Do you know why?
You know where it stems from?
What?
It stems from Hibs when they went to a cup final with 7 loan players. And these 7 loan players, for whatever reason, went into that game, and I didn't think they had it here. They were all out as individuals. They didn't know what the club was about. They didn't, what the supporters were about. And I thought that was a big fail. And I'm not saying it's going to happen with the Rangers players.
Yeah.
Every individual player is different. But I just feel, and I also feel as well, that when you've got that many loan players, you've got your own players there who are not getting a game, and that causes a wee bit of unrest as well. It doesn't happen at every club, but there are just things about the place.
Well,
if everything's going well and you're winning,
yeah,
it's not a problem.
Well, I have to disagree with you wholeheartedly, and the reason why I disagree with you, Ruffy, is quite simply, Gordon, the world of football, the football in Scotland has changed dramatically, quite simply, because of the lack of financial muscle. Scottish clubs have to look at loan players that they would never get a sniff at financially. They have to say, come in and do a 1 year, a 2 year job. Celtic wouldn't get anywhere near £12 million to buy Patrick Roberts 2 seasons ago. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a changed world. I mean, you only need to look at the fact that Aberdeen couldn't even hold on to a top striker from a team that's like non-league. You know what I mean? So that tells you the difference. Yeah, but that argument I thought was a futile one down south, because quite simply, the real thing that was the imbalance in that was Salford City have a multi-millionaire who backs them and would pay ridiculous money for a guy who wasn't getting a game for Aberdeen. Yes. Adam Rooney wasn't getting a game, but that doesn't take away the fact that they were still able to pay him more than Aberdeen. Yeah. But I think that's an anomaly in the fact that Salford City, that's like Gretna. If you've got a multi-millionaire who's willing to play stupid money, I mean, Adam Rooney's got a deal at his age that nobody else would offer him. I agree, but it's not just multi-millionaires that's making these clubs in that level pay more money than in Scotland. I know that for a fact. There's other teams, many teams in the non-league, the players earn generally more money than Premier League players are getting. That's the difference, and that's very, very hard for Scottish clubs to compete for players. You even look at a lot of the signings. Most clubs are signing non-Scottish players in the Premier League. If you look, there's hardly MDs. Only Livingston, I think, are the team that's signing a few Scottish players in. The rest of the team, the clubs are bringing in players from England. But you see where they're coming from in England. Many of them are lower division players. They're coming up here to put themselves in the shop window. But I don't think the Salford City one stacks up. I think Salford City are a club with a multi-millionaire. I do not believe that Scottish players will suddenly start going to non-league football. That one is a deal which was out of left field, which quite simply, would anybody else give Adam Rooney a 3-year deal at his age and the fact that he wasn't kicking a ball for Aberdeen? I don't think so. I mean, I still think, though, that the loan system now is because of the financial situation faced by many clubs. It's definitely the situation, Ruffy, for Rangers, because Steven Gerrard, if he looked to go and buy some of the players that he wants to buy, Rangers don't have that money, Ruffy. And to go back to the loan thing as well, I don't mind the loan thing if you're getting a £12 million loan player, but Rangers haven't got any 12 million loan players. No. They're not even in that bracket. You can see the difference that Celtic have got the clout to go and get. Yeah, but Rangers have got better loan players now than some of the players they had on contracts last season. Is that fair? Possibly, yeah. We're still to wait and see. We don't know yet. We haven't seen them play, so we don't know the levels. Some of them a couple of them are coming out of Liverpool, but they're not playing at Liverpool. Yeah. So if you're getting clubs, if you're getting loan players from the major English clubs, you're not getting MD who's anywhere near the first team, are you? No, but I still think some of the players might be of a better standard than some of the players last season. Yeah, Steven Gerrard will have seen them, Peter, so he knows these players and he's getting better information on them in terms of, because he's also a guy who his requirements have stepped up in terms of what he wants from players. So he does want better quality. Yeah, I think they're better loan players
than the loan players that Warburton were bringing. No, he was just bringing up young guys. You know, some of these guys that Rangers have got a wee bit of a pedigree, better than the other loan ones that were coming up. So that's why I think the Rangers supporters are looking for a good season.
Yeah. But back to my original point, I don't want to labour it, we'll kill it off. The players that he signed on deals from Warburton to Graham Murty are all being quickly shunted out of that club.
Yeah.
The starting 11 that finished last season for Rangers will look nothing like the starting 11 that's going to hit the game against Aberdeen at the weekend on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
he's totally different.
He's wanted changes in. I mean, one of the things he's talked about, Peter, was a fitness thing as well. This is something I think he's very, very strong on as well. So you not only be looking at the players' the ability of players, I think he's also looking at the fitness level of players, like their strength and their speed, things like that. So he wants a team of people who are competitive, and that's a big factor too. It's not just about the ability; it's about what these players can do beyond that.
Okay, did they win by a couple of goals tonight?
I think they'll go through tonight. I don't know if we'll win by a couple of goals, but I think they will go through, yes.
Is there any need to place any emphasis whatsoever on the quality of football that a team plays for Scottish football at the moment? It's just a case of just get them through.
Yeah, I think if you would ask anybody, that's the objective. You know, I think if Rangers score early tonight, they will go 2 and 3-0. And with the crowd behind them, you know, I think on the evidence of the chances they had over there, I think they should be able to score 2 or 3.
Okay, the one match that really is whetting my appetite and getting me excited is Burnley against Aberdeen. Of course, a little bit of patriotism. We want to see a Scottish club do really well and kind of just get one over on our English compatriots because, you know, if you're to listen to many, Aberdeen don't have a catch chance here. I think Derek McInnes is playing it very cutely, saying, you know, Burnley are the favourites.
Oh, yeah, Burnley have to be the favourites. I mean, the difference in their budget, as we know, is enormous as well. But Aberdeen did really well. They're probably disappointed with the first leg. I mean, I think it was a game they could have won. You know, they lost the goal, having led the game, but they outplayed Burnley in the game. And I think that's a major, I think, positive for Scottish football and for Aberdeen. And I think they'll go down there, and the pressure is on Burnley, because if they win, everybody will say we're expecting it. If they don't win, they'll be heavily criticised.
Yeah, I think they're a good chance. It's the early part of the season. You know, they're not going to be firing on all cylinders. Don't know if all the players are fit either. And I think Aberdeen boys will be encouraged by what they've seen in the first leg to go down there and say, we get a wee rub of the green, we might get something out of this.
Yeah, well, let's hope, fingers crossed, Aberdeen can get a 2-2 draw or a 1-0 win. That would do for
that would
me.
be the biggest. It'd be the biggest win of the Scottish teams, the 4 teams that are playing in Europe just now.
Yeah.
If Aberdeen go through, that's the top result for me.
I agree with you 100%. I think that would be fantastic if they can somehow muster a goal from somewhere. Okay, that's Aberdeen. What about Hibernian? 3-2. It's a slender one, Gordon. You know, I think I agree with Neil Lennon. They've got to score.
Definitely got to score. But one thing about Hibs is they can.
Yeah.
That's the positive side of Hibs. The fact is that my worry for them is that keeping it tight. They're very, very slack at the back. They've lost a lot of goals, and you look at the goals they've been scoring, but they've lost goals too, and that's what they need to tighten up. They need to score, and I think they can. The fact is that they came back for 2-0 down shows you a great bit of character in them. So I think that they can get something from this game, but the main thing is they've got to be tight at the back.
Yeah. Ruffy?
I think they were unfortunate in the first one. Obviously, one of the goals was an own goal. And when you're at home and the expectation of the fans, it set the players back a wee bit. But as Gordon said, they came back, you know, and got the goals.
Yeah.
You know, and they could have got another couple. Okay, the boy get sent off. But no, I think they'll go there. You know, the environment is something they'll have to deal with, as we know, with these kind of clubs. But as Gordon was looking at his computer there, they were, what was it, 25 points behind AIK in the league.
That's,
so
end of the season,
big difference, you know.
Yeah.
I always think, though, Ruffy, when a manager says, you know, I think we're going to need to score over there, that's him saying, I'm not confident my defence can keep them out.
I think that is what he was. I don't think he's even hinting at it. I think he's telling us what we already know.
It's a body blow for the defenders going.
He should have said we need to score 3.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, if we are sitting here on Friday with just 2 clubs in again, it's a well, listen, it kind of you know, just gives people a reality check because I think a lot of people are writing a lot of nonsense and speaking a lot of nonsense about first legs, you know, and wins and draws and things like that, and where Scottish football is getting back to. We will know Scottish football is back when we've got 3 and 4 clubs on the European stage in the group stages of competitions. That's when we know we'll be back. I just hope, Gordon, when that day arrives, we have a good percentage of home-based players playing.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would like to see that. As I say, the big problem we've been so far is when I've looked at all the transfer signings, players coming in, very few Scottish players have been signed by any of the clubs, and that'll be a bit of a blow, I think. But the fact is that from a Scottish football point of view, one thing we do need is results. You know why? Because our coefficient is very poor. Yeah. That's the reason that Celtic are having to play 4 qualifying games. Years ago, not that long ago, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, Scottish team, the winner of the Premier League, was getting into the group stages.
Yes.
Look what's happened, and we need to get back to a situation where everybody gets good results, because you get punished for the teams that have poor results as well. Because at Celtic weren't having poor results, but other teams were, which meant they have to start there. So it would be great to see. I think 2 of our teams will go through tonight, I think, without question, Celtic and Rangers, because of the first legs. Hibs could go through. Aberdeen's the hardest one, I think, of the 4 teams.
I have my doubts. I hope the Dons can do it. Fingers crossed for them and Derek and all the boys. Couple of things I want to talk about before we finish. Gordon was talking about making Scottish signings. Well, if any club in Scotland wants to come up with a 6-figure fee, they could get the League One Player of the Year from last year, Lawrence Shanklin, because Ayr United, the manager Ian McCall, has come out today and just basically said, look, he scored a barrel load of goals last season, 29 to be honest with you, in all competitions, Ruffy. He started off with, I think, 7 so far this season in the League Cup tournament. He's on fire. If you're a Premiership club in Scotland, I think Hearts, Aberdeen, all of these clubs might look and think he's worth a sniff.
Yeah, well, we had the chance to see him last Saturday. There's no doubt about it. He's a boy with confidence. I think the only thing against him would be for other clubs to look at him and say the quality he's playing against, and what do we value him at? And I'm sure Ayr United would want to value him quite highly, but if you're the other team, the Aberdeen, you're saying, well, what do we go to here? I mean, Aberdeen already had him.
Yeah.
So he's scoring goals for fun. He scored a good goal at the weekend. It's at what level, can he shine at a higher level? And that's what the other clubs would have to decide.
I thought there was 2 good players at the weekend that was former Aberdeen. They let them both go. The lad Rose, I felt was playing centre-half for you, was also a very good player. And I thought, but I checked him out, and Aberdeen had released him when he was younger. Yeah. But the thing is, we all know, we only need to look at Steve McKenna. Was Harley getting a game, was out on loan.
Yeah, Scott
McKenna. Yeah. He only got in last year because they got hammered by Motherwell in the Cup, and then he played the next game and was outstanding. He's stayed in the team since. And I think Lawrence Shanklin is a very, very good player. He can score goals. I think he would score at any level, and I'm surprised, like you say, Peter, none of the Premier League clubs have moved for him.
Worthy of moving for him?
I think so. I think they should move for him. I think he should be playing at a higher level.
At what price?
Depends what. Ayr United, you mean?
How much do you think Hearts should pay for him?
Depends what they get for Lafferty.
What do you think he's worth? 300,000?
Yeah, I think about that. 250. 250, I would say.
250, 300. Yeah. Okay. You heard it from Gordon, who incidentally was an agent as well. So he's been every job in Scottish football. He's been them all. What?
I could get him before Saturday.
Hey, not if Ian McCall has his way.
I have to say though, what about his goal on Saturday? It was stunning.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Absolutely top drawer. Thanks to Gordon. Thanks to Ruffy. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow on the programme. Barry Ferguson will be with us here in the studio. From Ruffy, from Gordon and myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.